Thanks for asking me. So I'm sitting there and thinking, wow, these people are really cool. Like, there's a lot of really cool people doing really cool things with these websites, and yeah, Pulitzer Prizes and just really awesome things. And I am like the anti-cool. I am on the internet, the local community news publisher. That's my background. I was the co-publisher of a chain of weekly newspapers that I left when offered a job at the hospital as the head of foundation to do like fundraisers and stuff, do that kind of thing. And I absolutely hated it. I spent a year in that and I go, oh my God, I want to die. I can't do this. And my husband wanted to do an online news site, and we fought about it because I said, because I was working at the hospital and I was like supporting our family. We have 2 kids who were about to go into college. And we had this really big argument, and he likes to say the next day he woke up and I had a site built. I spent probably the last 4 or 5 years of my life as a newspaper publisher trying to figure out what to do about the web. Every conference I attended, it was like, oh my God, it's going to put us out of business. Publishers were, community news publishers across the state were completely hysterical about the internet. And so I had spent a lot of time thinking about this. And I knew that I was going to get totally sucked into it, and I did. And by August of that year, I was doing this full time. We launched, we started putting content. We launched the site in January 2010, and I went into this full time in that August. As I said, my husband and I do this together. He's the sales guy and a photographer and a news hound, I kind of do the tech stuff and the editorial, etc. We have we were completely insane to do what we did the way we did it. We spent everything that we ever had saved. We had, as I said, 2 kids going into college. One of them is here today. My 2 daughters are both journalism students at Stony Brook University, and I'm hoping that the generation next for Riverhead Local. They are right now working on a redesign of our site, which they call hokey, but it works. And I basically, kind of built a newspaper online, a local community newspaper online. There was such a hunger for an opportunity to advertise locally among the local business people that we had to sort of fight them off at first because they wanted to buy ads right away. And I wasn't ready to take ads. I wanted to make sure that when I woke up in the morning, the site would be there, things like that. And I wanted to build content base. And that's what I did. And so we took our first ad in March of 2010. I'm going to give you numbers. It's probably not, not the right thing to do. I don't know. Where's that video going? That's what I want to know.
It's appreciated.
But we, in 2010, from March to December, we sold $25,000 worth of ads, $25,000 change. In 2011, we sold $143,000 worth of ads. In 2012, we sold a little over 214,000, almost 215. And we're on track this year to probably hit 250, 275, like that. Our expenses are going up though, folks, because we're adding staff and, we're building an office. We're going back and forth about that. We have been working and still are working out of a home office. This is not something that we're going to get rich on, but we're going to be able to live. And we're going to be able to contribute to our community, which we love. My husband, born and raised in Riverhead, which for those of you who don't know, well, you probably heard of it. If you've ever been on the Long Island Expressway, there's signs everywhere that says Riverhead, however many miles. But it is at what I like to call the crotch of Long Island because it's the Twin Forks on the east end of Long Island. Riverhead's right there. It's a town that has a population of about 35,000 people. It is technically the county seat, although it really isn't anymore. All of the county business gets conducted in a place called Hop Hog, which is about 45 minutes away. All of the ads that we sell on our site, we sell on a per month fee. They range from, depending on their position on the page and what pages they appear on, they range in price from $200 a month to about $1,200 a month. And we for the most part, create the ads ourselves. We've got, I should have counted up the number of advertisers, but we have a lot of advertisers. These are people who pay to be on our homepage. And then we've got a different set of advertisers on the various inside pages. And those have different rates as well. We are doing just granular community journalism. I mean, I'm doing what I did at the newspapers that I worked for, except for I've been doing a lot of it myself, where I used to have 20 people in a newsroom and a whole bunch of stringers that I managed. I don't have that anymore. We started out with a few freelancers here and there who were paid. I don't believe in trying to get people to do things for free. We have grown that bench, and we hired our first 2 part-time people last year. One helps post editorial content that we would always refer to as rewrite in the newsroom, and she also does ads for us. And the other does a whole variety of things. She's just sort of our office manager. Our 2 daughters and another person are like student interns. And this month, I just hired my first full-time reporter. So this is what we do. My husband does, as I said, he does the sales. And like all editorial and sales departments, we have arguments all the time about, not all the time, but, oh yeah, okay, all the time. But, occasionally there'll be, he wants a piece written about this and that, and, we have a knockdown, drag out about it. Or he doesn't want something written that needs to be written. I always win, right, Courtney? And that's it. I mean, we cover everything that goes on in Riverhead, and it's funny because our audience, it comes from beyond Riverhead, whether it's people who used to live there or moved away, or people who are just interested, or people who are in surrounding areas who are very interested in just the news, and the news coming out of our town. We are constantly asked, well, when are you going to do this in our town? And what, I haven't really, I've thought about that. I was a participant in this thing called Super Camp after the Block by Block conference in 2011, and we, etched out a business plan for, growth and sustainability, et cetera, and branching out into surrounding communities was part of one of the possibilities, but we really haven't done that yet. I've been very cautious about growth and, just trying to be conservative in terms of how much we take on, because I could easily see sort of crashing and burning. But we have, I pulled up our Google Analytics. We've had, since we started, our average monthly page views are in the high 200s. They've hit over 300,000. Unique visitors are about 50,000 unique visitors a month now. And, it's the trajectory, of growth over the last 3 years has just been, like that.
Can I just jump in with a quick question there? Are they mostly local? Do you know what percentage of the 50,000 are local?
Off the top of my head, I don't, but they are mostly in New York, with Florida being the second biggest, especially in winter. From well beyond Riverhead, like, the majority Long Island and then New York, a lot of New York City. There's a lot of second home, owners and stuff like that. So that sort of makes sense to me. A lot of snowbirds as well. Our advertisers, we don't ever talk about CPMs or anything like that. They want to be on our site. We get all kinds of nice, we need to start thinking more in terms of marketing and how to position ourselves in the market. But we hear all the time from people that they want to be on our site because that's where people are. When I went to the doctor, he said, well, everybody says, did you see this on Riverhead Local? Every day I hear about what's on Riverhead Local. He said, and I don't hear that with some of the other, media outlets. So they're there because, that's where people are. So, sure.
Hi. Sarah Miner from the Independent Media Network. I'm just wondering why you chose to do the sponsorship. You just said you don't really talk about CPMs, and if the small businesses and local advertisers, if that's just an easier way for them to do business with you on a month-to-month sponsorship, and is you find that that's really has been effective, and you're going to keep that model?
Totally, yeah. That's a lot of. We're like a mom and pop operation dealing with other mom and pop operations. I don't honestly know how much my husband would understand CPMs and what the people that he's talking to, whether they would. I don't know. I mean, some people ask to see how many clicks, and I have I have an ad server on my web server, and it's so I can tell them their click information. But it's really like in some way the approach of traditional newspaper advertising, where it's you're there, you're with the hard. One of the things I came away with at Super Camp, and the hardest thing about getting advertisers to do this actually is getting them to change up their ads. Like they'll put a new ad in a newspaper every week, but if you don't bug them, they won't change their ad on the website. And so we've been very persistent about that, forcing people to change the creative.
Have you thought about helping them design their ads or do that for them?
For the most part, we do that. For this, I have a woman who works out of her house, and she does the ads on most of them on weekends and evenings and stuff like that. Yeah.
You said earlier that you had to basically. Oh, I'm sorry, Jennifer DeSayer with the Hyperlocalist.
Hi.
And you said that you had to beat back advertisers in the beginning.
It surely did.
Before you really started. But I'm curious, what was the environment in your area that really, that made these advertisers hungry for the ad space? I mean, was it a matter of like no other publications?
There's very well established, and that's the newspaper group that I worked for. Is a very well established newspaper group, and each newspaper has a website. And in fact, Brown Stoner, is he here? Okay, because he through Blank Slate actually hosts and designed their website, their new website. But the publisher of the paper was not very interested in putting out a lot of news, fresh news, and putting all the time. He was protecting his territory. He didn't want to sell online ads, really. Like, he wanted the revenue in print is a lot greater. So he was not pushing his online advertising. And there was sort of a hunger for it among business people because that's where they are. That's where they spend their time. And, so they wanted to put their businesses online. And we gave them an opportunity to do that. And, suddenly this, 100 and some odd year old newspaper in Riverhead is like trying to play catch up with a startup.
Just a quick follow up then.
Sure.
Was there any? So you didn't really have to convince these you didn't have to convince these local advertisers that they had to be online, or was it a matter of sort of introducing them to the idea of advertising online? Because I also dealt with mom and pop shops, and a lot of them really didn't understand the online environment.
That's true. Some of them don't. A lot of them really wanted to be online, though. I mean, we found a lot of people really wanted to be there, and it was not a lot of convincing. And to this day, a week doesn't go by where we get at least a couple of people saying, "We want to advertise on your site. Can you, come and see us?" And so it's they want to be there, and we're pretty affordable alternative as well. But my 3 tips. One was content is king. I forget the other 2, but content is king. Content is king because it's people always say if they want to know what's going on, they know where to go. And we cover car accidents, fires. These are the really any kind of trauma. These are really popular things. It depresses me. I'll work really hard on a story for a couple of weeks and I publish it, and then Ned is shaking his head, yeah. And then it'll have like a 1/10 of the views of if there's a house fire. But that's what people like.
Great. Just a couple more quick ones, and then. Oh, sorry. Noah was waiting.
Hey, Noah Rosenberg. I'm wondering if you're not charging according to CPM. What are the conversations like you're having with advertisers? Have you had to adjust rates? Did you find that certain rates were too high, too low? and then also about kind of the effectiveness of the ads. Do you find that because your users are so local, they're actually going through and clicking the ads? What are the click-through rates like for those? And are advertisers asking those questions, or they just don't seem to care?
Some of them are, and when they do, we have a report that we could print out and give to them. And I don't honestly know the average click-through rate, and I know that they vary quite a bit depending on the ad and what is being advertised. And I know that after like a few weeks, change the ad, because as soon as a new ad goes up with a new promotion, people click on it again. And some of these people cannot be convinced that they should change their ad. It's weird, but we try, and they will know I like my ad. And
how do you calculate rates if not by CPM?
Well, we wanted to be able to. This is where the really weird local corny thing comes in. We wanted to be able to provide an affordable place for local businesses to advertise and reach local people. And so we first started out, they were all $150 a month. And I learned a lot about setting up ad zones and how things needed to rotate. This was not my background really, but we started out there and we've raised them up, and our lowest rate as of 2014 is gonna be $300 a month. We offer discounts if people sign a contract and pay in advance. So we have a number of people that pay for a year or 6 months or by the quarter. That part is really my husband. So he's just a natural born salesman. That's not what his training was or anything like that, but he's just a really good talker. He's very friendly. He's easy to talk to. He gets all kinds of scuttlebutt news, that way also. And he's just, he's Mr. Riverhead. It's he is just the poster child for what, our community's about. He lived there, like I said, his entire life. His parents met in their kindergarten classes, So we have kind of a very unique, thing. Because I was the publisher and executive editor, and before that the editor of the Riverhead News Review, I was a known entity as a journalist, and so that was also a big, it wasn't like, oh, who are you and what are you doing? This was, people knew that I left the paper and they knew that I started this, and that was interesting to people who were interested in local news in Riverhead. So we had a leg up in that regard. So
a couple more really quick ones.
Yeah, you spoke about how your revenue grew. What specifically did you do that caused that, growth?
Well, my husband went out and sold ads, and he, that was pretty much his.
What did he do in year 2 and year 3 that was different from year 1?
Well, we were getting well established. Our numbers were growing. People were talking. We were creating buzz. So it was, it wasn't just this kind of new thing. Now it was, something. And we started in the same year, that fall. They started a patch site for Riverhead, and so to some extent that was hard, that we had to, because some people that were like, oh, are you like that patch? and so we had no, that's not us at all. And for people who knew me, they knew that wasn't what we were about. But it just grew. The buzz grew, the readership grew. We did a lot through Facebook. We created a Facebook entity, which is like a person, which was the wrong thing to do. So then we got maxed out with the number of friends, and so then we created a page. So now we have 5,000 friends and a second page that's got 5,500 or 5,400 fans or whatever. So there's that. We use that a lot.
Okay, I know there's a few questions. If you can make a question really quick and
answer
really
quick.
We'll
Okay.
get a couple more, but just super quick.
Lightning round. Okay.
Lightning round, and then we're gonna move on.
How do your ad rates compare with the print paper ad rates?
They are a lot cheaper than the print rates, and they're cheaper than the print online rate, the paper's online rates as well. But the stated ones anyway. But I think they do a lot of different crossover deals and stuff.
Great.
How much content do you produce daily, and how has that evolved over time?
I try to have at least in the main news at least one story every morning, one story noontime, one story evening time, and then other stuff that we post, whether it's a photo slideshow. If there's breaking news, obviously that will get posted. And you know, I just try to, like, I want there to be fresh content when people go to the website. That's kind of been my objective from the beginning. Now, you know, in the beginning, that involved me working, you know, in the middle of the night and after work when I got home the first few months. But now I just work in the middle of the night all day long and all night long. So.
All right. Anyone have a super last quick one?
Do you do classified ads?
We do and we don't. We have a classified section that we're building, and I mentioned that we're redesigning the site, and we're going to have classifieds, and there's been like some clamoring for that as well. So we will.
Great, thank you. That's excellent.